Hey people, this is my sister Laura.
Hey, this is my sister Jean. We're the Reclamation Sisters, and today we're going to talk about the 4 biggest lessons that I have learned through this process of getting to know what recovery is all about.
So what did you learn? Huh?
Okay, so I've learned 4 lessons, and the first lesson is the importance of understanding shame and guilt. And when we first started and we did that video on shame and guilt, which we'll link right up here, I didn't really even fully understand the difference between the 2 words. And so I think understanding why I was hiding, the reality for so long, that shame just sort of grew and grew. Understanding that it was shame, first of all, and that it was creating more of a barrier.
Right.
Not just for you to recover, but for our relationship to recover.
Right.
Now that I understand that better, I can understand how, and I can see it in other relationships.
Oh, right.
With other people.
Where they expect somebody to do that. But what do we know about expectations?
They breed resentment.
There it is.
Look at what I've learned. I've learned that too. That was something I learned too.
Yeah. So what else did you learn?
So the second thing I learned during our work on
ma'am.
So the second thing that I've learned during our work on Reclamation Sisters and rebuilding our relationship through this is the role of trauma. It's just easier to be like, degrade people for using and be like, they're a loser, they're using. Like it's a conscious choice to destroy their lives.
I picked that.
And I think that it was a couple times where you said that during our talks, where every time, even though I didn't say anything, it was like, oh, well, of course you didn't choose that. It hit me like, of course you did not want that. Of course you
I want to grow up and be a cocaine addict.
I want to disappoint people. I want to lose my job.
I want to be a failure. I want to suck at life. All things to work toward.
Yeah. For the longest time, and I think still, visiting you in jail, that first time I was like, that was like something it was probably the hardest day of my life.
Yeah.
As for you as well. But I was only worried that was the hardest day of my life. I was so mad at you for bringing those things into our life that I didn't stop to think, well, she didn't want to be in there either.
That place was not a good place to be.
So, it's made me stop and realize, okay, nobody's choosing that. Like, even if they are using and relapsing and doing all these things, there's something happening to make them do it.
And the underlying trauma, unresolved trauma is the thing that
So the third thing I learned during this process is what disenfranchised grief is. All I thought was how we felt grief or loss or shame or all of those things, never stopping to think, well, in your sober or clean moments, of course you're going to have feelings too,
Right.
And what you could feel grief over, and whether it's the loss, and you did lose so much, your career, and for a while, now it's a new career. Friends, and some good friends and some bad.
Self-respect, my health.
And a lot. Now that I can look back, I think that I know that even though we never talked about it, I know you had to give up some friends when you decided to get clean.
Oh, lots of people. I had to, I don't really.
Yeah. So, and I never stop to think about any of that and how that feeling can then foster more desire to numb the pain with more drugs and how it can keep that cycle going.
Right.
So, disenfranchised grief. Again, we have another video on that. I'll link to that up here. I think that was a really big one for me to learn about.
Well, it's a powerful lesson. I mean, we do 12 weeks of grief as part of the curriculum at where I work. It was a curriculum I wrote specifically to just go through the misconceptions of grief and the things that people have to understand about grief and the beauty in grief, and then disenfranchised grief. But it's interesting to watch as people become aware to the process of grieving and the impact it has on our life.
And one of my childhood friends commented something on one of ours recently about grief. Her daughter committed suicide, and it's like, oh, well, that's definitely one of those things then. Absolutely. That's different disenfranchised grief, because some people will be like, well, she chose to do that, that was her fault or whatever. No, that's more grief than anybody, can handle, I think.
Because then you have survivor's grief and survivor's guilt, and then people shame you for not taking care of your family, and it's just a vicious circle.
Terrible. So I learned a lot with that one. And even in the reading, because I'm a librarian, I read all the time, and a book that I just finished, Grief Laden, it was just all about grief, and I'm not sure I would have been as in tune with it had I not had that discussion with you about disenfranchised grief. So
Yeah.
fascinating. And the fourth biggest lesson that I learned through our work together is about the importance of connection. And it makes like perfect sense, but I don't think I ever again stopped to think about the importance of that before. And again, how when you are shaming somebody who is in addiction and making them feel othered, and you know, you're driving away that connection and building up the shame, how you're just creating more of a burden for them, more obstacles for them to overcome, and more reason for them to want to numb. So I think the importance of understanding the role of connection in helping someone maintain their sobriety or their clean living, and in maybe helping them find a reason to get clean or sober if they know that they have connections worth building. Maybe.
When we give up on people, what makes them want to keep connected?
Yeah.
You know, the more we walk away, the harder it is for them to find connection with anybody. But that's the thing about the process of recovery, is that there's always a group of people who will welcome them in. And the thing about recovery is sometimes when you don't have family that's welcoming or willing to engage in the process of recovery, is, I always said, you know, you get to choose your own family the second time. You know, if you don't have people in your life who understand or engage or support or are willing to, you know, go on this journey with you, you get to pick a whole new family that will.
We're going to learn a lot more as we keep going, so keep watching, guys, and we'll talk to you soon.
See you next time.
Oh, it's just a
Stink bug.
Okay. Don't blow it. I'll get them after. They don't seem to move very much.
The more we walk away.
I'll get them after.
When I lived in Harrisburg, I had like an infestation of them. It was terrible.
I don't know where they come from, but we
Boxes
definitely
from
get
China. They're from China.
China. China. China.
them. All right.
Ouch. Pinched me.
Just randomly.
Just ouch.
You're just
Ouch. Ma'am.